go through those charges again.
And bear with us, because we also want to include, they've now all been processed, we do want to include the bail that they are now facing for each individual. We have several sheets we have to go through.
Right. Lieutenant Brian Rice, he's 41 years old. He joined the department in '97. He is he's charged with involuntary manslaughter, second-degree assault, misconduct in office, and false imprisonment.
Bail set at $350,000.
And next, Sergeant
$350,000.
joined the department in 2010. The charges against White: involuntary manslaughter, second-degree assault, misconduct in office.
Bail set at $350,000.
Officer William Porter, who's 25, joined the department in 2012, charged with involuntary manslaughter, second-degree assault, misconduct in office.
Bail set at $350,000.
Officer Garrett Miller, who's 26, joined the department in 2012, charged with second-degree assault, intentional second-degree assault, negligent misconduct in office, and false imprisonment.
Bail set at $250,000.
And Officer Edward Nero is 29, joined the department back in 2012. The charges he faces: second-degree assault, intentional second-degree assault, negligent misconduct in office, and again, false imprisonment.
His bail set at $250,000.
And the most serious charges are against Officer Caesar Goodson. He's 45. He joined the department in 1999. He was the driver of the transport van. And he is charged with second-degree depraved heart murder, involuntary manslaughter, second-degree negligent assault, manslaughter by vehicle by means of gross negligence, manslaughter by vehicle by means of criminal negligence, and misconduct in office for failure to secure a prisoner.
Yeah, the most serious charges against Officer Goodson, his bail set at $350,000. His charges including a murder charge.
Yeah. So there we have it. Right now we're going to go to 11 News reporter David Collins. Yes.
And then the boy that
Yes. Hi, David.
was doing the loop.
Hey, Donna, the FOP still wants a special prosecutor to handle the case. FOP President Gene Ryan says he's sticking up for his officers. He's appalled and frustrated by the rush to judgment by the city state's attorney. FOP attorney Michael Davey says he has grave concerns about the fairness and integrity of the prosecution of these officers. He maintains the injuries to Mr. Gray did not occur as part of any action or inaction by the officers. Lieutenant Kenneth Butler, president of the Vanguard Justice Society, expressed shock and frustration by the circumstances. And he takes exception to the notion that there's an ongoing conflict between police and the community.
As Baltimore police officers, we are not at odds with the community. Let me repeat that. We are not at odds with the community. In fact, we are sworn to protect the community and those who are protesting against the 6 officers involved in this case.
The FOP says the officers involved have been forthcoming and have cooperated. They say the charges have been, and this is a quote here, filed separate and apart from the application of law. And that was FOP attorney Michael Davies talking. Now, we asked him, well, what part of the investigation is incomplete? Because as you recall, City Police Commissioner Anthony Batt said his officers did an exhaustive job of investigating, and they handed over the results, preliminarily at least, to the state's attorney a day in advance. He could not answer that, he says, because he doesn't have any investigative results. Back to you.
All right, David, thank you very much. And we're going to go to Jane Miller right now, who's still down at City Hall. Jane, something that just, a dichotomy that I just sort of picked up on. With the FOP, president of the FOP is calling for a special prosecutor in this case. If you recall, in Ferguson, everyone was screaming for a special prosecutor. They didn't get one, and, you know, there was a different outcome there.
You know, the state's attorney, Marilyn Nosey, was asked that question today, and her answer was that if you bring in a special prosecutor, she said, I'm the one that was elected by the citizens of the city. She said, you bring in a special prosecutor, you don't get the same level of accountability. I mean, that debate goes on and on. Probably a larger question is whether there should be outside investigators on the police side. One of the reasons that this case developed the way it did with Mosby really is, you know, she probably used the word independence a dozen times today, trying to really stress the independence of the investigation, because you're dealing with this very issue, the big issue that is bubbling around this whole case, is the mistrust between the public and in these communities and police. So what she thought was really needed is to be able to present an investigation. While it included the police investigation, and it certainly does, but she has her own investigators as well, is to be able to present an investigation that had that banner on it that this is a more independent investigation. So I think we're going to see lots of debate about this issue over the next 6, 12, 18 months. We have another legislative session coming up next year. There are probably going to be more bills, and that's one of the questions is, should the police be investigating themselves in a case like this? And in any of these cases which involve injury and death and in custody or in encounters with police. So I mean, this is only the beginning of likely the debate that's to come.
First step, not the last.
There you go. Still just the first step of the whole process. That's it for this special edition of 11 News at 6 o'clock. Coming up next in its entirety, NBC Nightly News, followed by Access Hollywood, Grimm, and then a special edition of 11 News from 9 until 11 o'clock, followed by 11 News at 11.